Welcome, everybody, to episode 17 of PT Shop Talk. On this episode, we have a very special guest, Ryan Landberg, as well as talk about our top 5 most squeamish movie scenes. I'm Casey Hansen. With me today, Nick Leatherface Doling and Jeremy Hocus Pocus Van Klompenberg.
Yes. Yes.
And welcome, Ryan. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, just so the audience knows who you are.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I don't know if that applies here, but I think that works. I'm a physical therapist in outpatient down in Marshall, based out with Nick. Used to work with Jeremy. Do a lot of orthopedics and sports management and occupational health. So yeah, really excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and really pretty interested to see what happens during the top 5 tonight. We're gonna dive into some stuff. I got a feeling.
Yeah, super exciting. We're glad to have you. Now, who stole whose look? You or Jeremy? What's the word there?
You know, it's funny you should.
What everybody wants to know.
For those listening on Spotify, they both are bald. Stone cold looks.
Yeah, it's a similar vibe, I get.
The full-fledged like Mr. Clean action. Yeah, no facial like eyebrows, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
The eyebrows pull it all together, though. It's like the rug of the room.
But let's be honest, you've had a recent shift in your I guess persona non grata. Like you were the bearded guy for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had that look. You really trademarked it, dude.
Yeah.
So share a little bit about, I think maybe these guys need to hear, why'd you go away from the beard?
Yeah, nobody cares about therapy. Tell us about your beard. I have a beard. I'm curious.
Yeah. So I was the bald bearded guy in the clinic for a long time. I had the full beard for about 10 years, and then I finally talked my wife into joining to getting on board with me joining the fire department here in town, and they're pretty serious about about good seals along the SCBAs for not getting cancers and dying in fires and stuff like that. So
it's a decent excuse.
Good. Yeah.
Seems fair.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I bet if your beard caught on fire, it would be pretty squeamish.
That wouldn't be great.
Oh.
Too soon.
No, too soon, Nick. Darn it. You've gotten too good. You've gotten too good.
We're early. We're jumping to it.
Jumping too early. Darn it. Now, do you have kids? Sorry if that's too personal of a question. Jumped
right in.
Yeah, I jumped right in. But I know I've shaved my beard off before, and I have young kids. My daughter's 3.5. She did not like it. Did your kids have that moment where it was like, put it back on?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not how beards work.
Oh yeah. So I had clean shaven. Before this, I shaved one time for Halloween. That was our favorite TV character we came as dressed as that year. So I came as Ron Burgundy. Or no, not Ron Burgundy, Ron Swanson.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
So I
both good
Rons
shaved for sure.
And both had a mustache.
Yep.
It really did.
That was the first time my son had ever seen me without a beard, and he basically went like crying to my wife. And then when I shaved for the fire department for the first time, he was 5 and my daughter was almost 2, and they were both like, what happened? I don't know. Where'd it go? I don't
Where's
like
our
it.
dad? Bring him back.
So
you've stolen Jeremy's look, then, is what this all comes down to.
No, he had it. I'm gonna give him. He had it first. I've always been like, I've had pretty short hair. I actually just recently went to clean shaven, so I think Ryan had it first. So I'm gonna give him the dap on it.
All right, for those watching on YouTube and you're curious, now you know.
Now you know. Yeah.
Now you know.
Now you know.
I think at some point we need to kind of upload a photo of Jeremy back in like high school.
Yes.
Did you shave? Did you start shaving your head in college, or did you have any?
Honestly, growing up, like I always had like a buzz cut until probably
that your senior photo with the curls going?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Wilson?
probably like 10th grade. I started growing my hair out.
Yeah, Casey, you wouldn't believe it. We got to do that, dude.
Man, when I like my senior year, perms were popular. Like all the guys had perms. It was a big deal.
Whatever.
That's true.
Maybe in Maddock.
Yeah, well,
The
we
North
were
Dakota
the
thing.
trendsetters.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
Jeremy would have been
the
welcome.
Jewish community in Maddock was really
yeah, we let them go. Yeah, the curls down the front, right? I mean,
Nagila Hava.
yeah, Laheim. That's how we did it in Maddock.
Laheim. Mazel tov.
Yeah, we don't judge. We don't discriminate.
be another fun little thing to do, this old social media deal where you post like senior photo type challenge thing.
I feel like I look similar, minus like the beard, but
I gotta see it. I'd have to see it. I can't imagine.
Nick, I always pictured you as a mullet guy, like
I did.
jean shorts and mullets. That had to be your look.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, like middle school, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
you can.
And it was like kind of a rat tail as much as anything, and then kind of what
George to this day. George forever.
I did make some. I remember when I made jorts that I bought that old Stone Cold shirt because I was going to crush a bunch of beers when COVID was finally done, and obviously that never happened.
Well,
they still got the jorts, right?
I still got the jorts and still got the beers.
Yeah, never say never, man.
You'll be ready.
I'm ready.
Whenever that day comes, you'll know it.
Yeah, man.
So we obviously had Easter. You guys, obviously the weather sucked, but we don't talk about the weather anymore. People tell me they hate that part of it. How did it go? Do you guys do like Easter egg hunts and stuff still? Is that like a thing? What do the Dolings do? I'm always curious about the Dolings because you guys are ahead of me in life, so I want to see what the future holds.
Oh yeah, Jeremy, you go ahead first though. I don't share.
Well, I was gonna say it was 45 and sunny here. But
we had 45 inches of snow.
Fancy lad living out in Michigan.
Yeah, we did a little Easter egg hunt. My brother-in-law's family has kind of adopted us out here, so there's probably 10 kids or so anywhere. My daughter was the youngest that was running around. My nephew's not quite one, so he got sat in front of a couple eggs. But then as far as ambulatory children, she was the youngest, and so there's probably then up to 13 or 14 years old. So they got into the harder eggs, and we weren't really sure how she would do with it, but she picked it up right away, and like she was jazzed about it. And I was telling people, I'm like, baby, I'm the bad parent. Like, we're not letting her have any candy right at this point. But she just got such a kick out of opening the eggs and basically just like handed off the candy in a pile, and that was cool. Like, she loved it. So it was awesome. Did that in a little Easter basket, and that's kind of our tradition. So.
It's always fun. My kids have this issue both with Easter egg hunts and with like parades.
Yeah,
is like they'll like, oh, an egg, and then they stop and open it, and they're like, I'm gonna eat this piece of candy.
They're missing out.
Like, no, like let's keep going, guys. Let's like try to gather.
You
like,
got
this is gonna take
Casey's over there like stockpile, you idiots.
Yeah, like this is gonna take forever. And it's like the same thing at parades. They'll like throw the suckers, and my kids are like, oh, a dum-dum, and they pick it up and like they just start eating it as they're throwing more and more candy, and all the kids are gathering
Don't
stuff.
waste your time on the fruities, kids. There's koozies coming.
Yeah, right.
Save the room.
Yeah, check the adult ones. Grab a beer off there if you can for me, guys.
Yeah, come on.
Small town.
It just means they live in the moment, right? Your kids just living in the moment. They're not.
I'm trying to teach them to save for the future, Jeremy.
Yeah,
these are early life lessons.
It is.
That idea.
You invest now and reap later.
School hard knocks, Casey Hansen style.
Oh,
yeah. I'm
the dean of admissions. No, we've always done the same thing as Jeremy just mentioned. We've done an Easter egg hunt every year except for this year. Weather was not good, right? So we did a basket hunt, and this was the first time in 8 years that I remembered to record. This time Baylor searching for his, and that's pretty cool.
That is fun.
Going back and watching that again. Watch him flip out over stuff that he sees in the basket. But otherwise, it was pretty low key this year around. Went to church Thursday night, Friday night, and then Sunday morning, and then went to a family meal in Canby Sunday afternoon. So pretty chill.
Lancers stand up. What?
Yeah, we saw your statue there. It was pretty cool. I hazed it, but whatever.
Yeah, it's all good.
We're bros. We can do that to each other.
Yeah.
See, I thought this weather made for awesome Easter egg hunting. We didn't have to do anything to the eggs. We just boiled them and threw them in the snow. It's like, good luck. See you tomorrow.
Where's Waldo?
Yeah, that's gonna be hard as hell.
Tomorrow.
We play it.
Yeah.
We play real style. How
Well,
about you,
awesome.
Ryan? What do you guys? You guys got any cool Easter traditions?
Yeah, I mean, same as these guys. We actually it was pretty cool this year. My parents took the kids back down to their place. So my wife and I had kind of a weekend to ourselves and had a date night on Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
amazing.
Actually, we went to the restaurant at the college.
Ooh,
really?
Culinary
Yeah.
Institute.
I'm
in
not,
Mustang?
yeah, I'm not familiar. So, like the dining center, or they have a restaurant?
The dining hall, the cafeteria.
Make your own cold cut.
Yeah, right. Like you can
It
have
was
all the salad you want, babe.
it's on
easy
me.
grind.
I'll buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
No,
sure you
the,
get like 5 bowls of
culinary-
cereal.
Right.
Go on, Ryan. We'll try our best not to talk over everything.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
We destroyed
my-
Jeremy for episodes, so it's a trial by fire.
All good. All good. I'm used to it working with these guys. It happens every day. No, so SMSU is pretty renowned for their culinology program, right? They have one of like, you can get a full 4-year bachelor's in culinology, I guess, and there's like 5 or 10 programs in the country that do that. So
Interesting.
yeah, so this
So it's
year,
different than Subway U.
correct.
Okay.
Just
McDonald's
SU.
U, yes.
SU.
Refresh.
SU.
Refresh.
I
They have
believe-
lots of good alumni. I've seen the commercials.
Steph Curry. Yeah.
So yeah, my wife had mentioned that she got reservations and we went, and it was maybe the best food I've ever eaten. They do kind of a
What?
That's a pretty high investment.
Have you been to Arby's?
Do
Yeah.
you know about Subway? I don't know.
The double roast beef.
They do smoke their brisket for 17 hours. They claim.
I've heard that.
Right.
That's not that nice green sheen. You don't get that by just freshly cutting
Yeah.
meat.
Right.
That's awesome. Did you guys do anything after the meal?
Well,
Went home
Nick,
and-
don't ask those personal
Whoa.
questions.
Yeah, right. Now
Jeez.
we're
Oh,
crossing.
chick a wow wow.
Hanson,
Holy
Hanson.
moly.
Check your pervert privilege. Okay.
Oh, I was trying to hold you
that's-
back.
That's not where I was going. I meant like, did they go
Yeah.
take in the cinema?
Oh, okay.
No, we caught a flick at home and called it a early night. But yeah, it was kind of cool. I think that's the first time. Honestly, my daughter's should be 3 in June, and I think that's the first time that we've had like a date night, and especially like, all right, we got to get home because the babysitter, whatever. Like kids were
Good for
gone, we didn't have any reason to get back home.
That's awesome,
It
man.
was actually really
Good for you guys.
cool.
Good for you guys.
That's
Hey,
a
on that
sweet
note,
feeling.
I got a hot take question, maybe. Because you just spoke to that, Ryan. You said like, yeah, instead of going to a movie, we just went back home and checked one out, right? Do you think what's your guys' level of interest in ever going back to like theaters now?
I just went to the
Jeremy
theater.
saying none. Ryan, what is that? You saying yeah? You want to get back in?
I'm
there?
all about it, man. Since I was a kid, I love the theater. There's
I agree.
nothing. What's that?
I agree. But I'm also kind of like teetering. It's so great in my mind. It's like right where my mind goes when I see a big, like the new Thor trailer came out this week.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm going to have to like take the kids to that. Right.
Mhm.
But then the closer it gets to any of these things, I'm like, oh man, it's just so much easier at home nowadays. And
Yeah.
so much less expensive.
I
But
don't know.
you're
Yeah.
right. The experience isn't the
Yeah.
same at all.
Yeah, I just took my
Oh.
son to Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Ooh.
I gotta say, cool experience. Like I've watched a ton of movies with my kids at home.
Mhm.
And I mean, the dude just lights up in the movie theater. He's sitting next to you in the Dream Loungers. I mean, it's just larger than life. He just everything cool. He looked at me and he was like, whoa, he doesn't do that at home. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
looking at other crap. He's got things going on. Like It's not an
Yeah.
experience, right? Like they take it for
Yeah.
granted. Like I can watch any movie anytime, whenever I want, and pause it, and like so the theater
Talk
is
to
just
Mar-
cool
Yeah.
experience for them.
Remember a couple weeks ago we talked about like Marvel movies and how well they were doing things, and
Mhm.
my kids were, especially Connor, Madeline, but now Gunnar as well. They're all kind of like peak Marvel ages, and those moments you can only get them in a theater. Like you think of Endgame when like Cap lifts up Mjolnir, the crowd just like cheers, right? Like you're watching like a sports event, but it's just like a shared experience too. It's a pretty cool moment. You don't get that at home, you know. You don't get that type of response. Just like, well, I guess at the end of, I think of Infinity War too. Like I'm right in between Connor and Madeline, and they're both crying
Yeah.
when like all these superheroes are dead or they think they're dead, and you're
Right.
like, oh man, this is like hitting them really hard, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's powerful. But I will say we had this conversation earlier in a different episode. They make it way too easy to fall asleep, though. Sonic kept my trend going. I did fall asleep for about 15. Yeah. I went with my buddy and his kids, and yeah, afterwards I was like, oh dude, I really dozed off there. He's like, that was you snoring. I could really hear that. I was like, yeah, it was too comfy. Too comfy.
I've only done that one time. I can remember I fell asleep, and me and a buddy went to, like, they used to do a cheaper showing of like a movie on the fall, like on a Tuesday night.
Mhm.
And I went and saw the Fellowship of the Ring like a second time. And that was just like the slowest one anyways. But I think I slept like half an hour, I guess he said. I'm like, I just like dozed off right in the theater.
I'm not an in public sleeper, like planes, theaters, no. And I'm not as comfortable in a theater. I want to be at home. I'm telling you.
Well,
Like,
you're scared. You got all that real, you're like true crime stuff running through your head though. You're like, if I
Always.
doze off, somebody's gonna steal my kidney.
no, it's
That's
probably
a good
Although-
kidney. That's a good kidney.
Although, maybe.
It could happen.
it could happen.
You're in
You know,
Michigan, home of
Yeah,
Ted Kaczynski.
serial killers for days. You just gotta watch out out
There's
here.
like one. We established there's like really truly one.
No, there's
you
more
just
than
you just think they're
one.
all from there.
I think the worst one for me was that we went to Chronicles of Narnia with some of my buddies in college.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty good hangover on. I actually laid on the floor
No, don't
at the front of the theater
Oh,
and slept
gross.
Ew,
for about the
Don't-
whole thing.
don't
Yeah,
do
it was
that.
No
disgusting.
way.
Yep,
it
I
is disgusting.
got out of my seat, went about 3
You had to be
feet in
hosed
front.
off. Gross.
Yeah, I stuck to it.
Dude,
No,
but
it
back
wasn't
in
that
college,
bad. There was a
like,
nice
hangover-
like carpet in there. It wasn't bad. Nobody was
sweet.
throwing beers up there.
all right, go back to college. How
Or were
sweet
they?
were hangover movies though?
They weren't
I mean,
bad.
especially
I mean,
especially
actual-
comedies.
Oh,
you got a 64-ounce Mountain Dew with a refill. That always hit the spot when you had a hangover. Oh,
Oh, dude, just
Yeah,
go
Sounds
tear up a
kinda nice.
Chinese buffet and go find a comedy. And life was so good
that was all
Agreed.
day, every day. Got pizza,
because you were hungover every day.
yeah.
no, buffets for days.
And it was never a true hangover. Like I don't think I truly got like a real hangover until I was like 32. And then I was,
That's crazy talk. I had an
You're
absolute
lying. You're
rager
lying.
of a hangover at about 15, and ever since then, I've
well, yeah, maybe the rare occasion, the little white buffalo that I'd get like after a jungle juice party or something like that.
no,
Too much
my-
sugar.
Boone's,
Sugar.
too much Boone's Farm.
My
Yeah.
body was wrecked at an early age and has forever felt the hangover,
That's
Well,
awesome.
It's all good.
which
We're
is
all
good
learning.
because it's probably kept me from drinking every single day.
Yeah, there are
That-
good
that is
safeguards that built into the body.
Yeah, my body took care of me that way, I guess.
Well, what do you say? Should we jump into getting to know Ryan a little deeper, letting our listeners know more about him?
I'd
Let's
love
do a
to know
deep
more
dive.
about him. I don't know him really at all compared to you guys. So don't be surprised if I ask a lot of questions. I'm a question asker. So
Cool.
fire it off, man. Tell us
All right.
why did you become a PT? Why should people care?
Yeah.
Well, that's a hurtful
Why?
question. I'll say
Wow,
that for
is
later.
that is hurtful.
He's just
Just start with
cut
the
legs off
PT
from under
thing
me.
first.
That's fine. That's fine. Just chop me down. That's all right. I'm used to
He's-
it from these guys.
He's
It's
good.
all
He's good for that.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'll break you down. Whether we build you back up, I cannot guarantee.
right.
I always forget
I-
that step.
I kept telling these guys when I was first coming out, I think they were a little nervous that I was too green and too thin skinned, but I got 3 other brothers, so I took a little bit of a beating, and I'm by far the smallest. Jeremy knows pretty good. I'm by a good margin, I'm the smallest of my brothers, so I've had to get a thick skin, but these guys definitely helped sharpen it up a little bit too. Over the years, which is good.
Yeah. What we lack in size, we make up in mental and emotional abuse.
Who's the toughest brother though? Just in case they tune in. Who's the toughest?
Who could? You do a tournament round robin? Who's winning it?
Ray. Yeah.
I'm going lunch buffet. I'm going lunch buffet 70.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I mean part of that, and I'm sure Nick probably understands this too. Like it's like the older brother thing, right? Like it's just like, I don't care if we're both like, I'm early 30s, he's lower 30s, and it's just kind of like, he's still the big brother, like I don't think I can do it.
Cheeks isn't sneaking in as a dark horse.
Listen to you with all these insider nicknames. Casey and I don't even know these nicknames. I knew Ray.
I've created a picture in my mind.
Now they're gonna
Cheeks.
Now they're gonna have to tune in.
Your hair is truly name a brother Cheeks.
We just got 3 more listeners.
Yeah, I just got 3 more. I'm gonna send the link. in the group chat after this and say like, hey, you guys check this out. You're now famous. In the
name dropped.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me pictures so I can upload it onto our YouTube video. So
all right, so Ray's the top dog of the house, but you got a thicker skin. So what was it that like first spurred you on to therapy though? What caught your eye about it, and how old were you?
A lot of it kind of came down to, we had like a jobs thing in high school class where it was, you take all these kind of tests and say, based on how you answered these questions, you would do well in probably this sort of field. And really I was looking more towards athletic training for the most part, sophomore, junior year. And then I've told the story a couple times. I don't know if you guys have ever heard it or not, but I was
indulge us.
Yeah, I was.
I guarantee our listeners haven't heard it.
Right, exactly.
Or have they?
Well, if the 3 new listeners, if they might know if they get in, but I was, I don't know, high school and probably 16, 17. I was fast asleep on a weekend or something in the summer. And all of a sudden I get woken up by my little brother Cheeks. Is the
Cheeks.
Cheek, yeah.
Classic.
But he's like running up the stairs. Mom's hurt. You got to come downstairs. You got to help us out. And I'm sprinting downstairs and trying to figure out. And my mom's sitting in the car and I hurt my knee. I can't get up. I can't move. And I was just like, what do I do? Right. Ended up, I went inside and I got the office chair and kind of got her transferred into that. And then we got her in the house and I think we called an ambulance or something. That the rest of that's kind of a blur, but I was the only one for the summer that happened to be around and had a license. So I was the one that took her to therapy every day. She ended up having, I'm still not 100% sure what the surgery was, some kind of meniscus repair and maybe like a Wilkerson's osteotomy, or I'm still not 100% sure. She's like, no, they shifted something and they moved my bone or something. And I was like, okay.
Like osteotomy, maybe. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So I was the one that took her to therapy every day, basically. And I sat there and I was kind of chit-chatting with them and seeing what they did and started getting more interested in it. And then when I got to SMSU to college, I started taking more classes and then I met Jason Banks. And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. Like, for sure. This is it. There is no plan Bs. There is no side options. I want to do therapy when I grow up.
Yeah. Was he working with the wheelchair group at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 3 hours once a week or twice a week or something. And I'd just go hang out and shadow with him. And and that was kind of the done deal where I was like, all right, I guess I need to hope I'm smart enough or something. I got to study more or something because this is what I want to do. So figure it out.
If you listen to Casey, you just don't even do any of that stuff. You just go take your boards.
Let Jesus take the wheel is what I've always said.
Jesus. There you go, Carrie. That's right.
Blessed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just
It's
went
meant to
the
be.
test.
It'll
it was
be.
whatever.
Yeah.
You got backup. I mean, I could have always went into podcasting if that didn't pan out for me. So
True.
I could totally see when we go back to it, like, and you're painting that picture, Ryan, it's like, and I knew Jason pretty well, especially back in those days. I mean, he's pretty charismatic, dude. Easy to kind of see, where he'd draw you closer to the profession and get you enthusiastic about it for sure.
Right. Yeah, 100%. That's where it really kind of came from. And then the more that I got into it, and then so it started with kind of shadowing Jason at the college. And then it was in the clinic with Nick and kind of helping out and doing some more shadowing there. And then had an internship with one of our peds therapists. She would one afternoon, it was like Thursday afternoons for a couple hours. She would have pediatric patients in the pool.
Was that Janet? Were you with Janet?
Yeah. Yep. And so that was I think that was about a year. I think I did that, which was awesome. That's when I found out I don't think I could ever do peds.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Which is okay. I mean, it's okay to say those things. Like sometimes we got to know our limitations and what our weaknesses are. Right? I'm the same way.
That moment myself.
Same way.
But I did find out I could hang out in a pool for 3 hours. That's cool.
You get too pruny. Come on.
I used to do pool therapy. It's funny. I had a student who now works for us, Tony, and he hated that, the pruniness. He's like, I can do 40 minutes, man, and I got to get out. I'm in that sucker for 4 hours straight, and I'm like, this is great. But then he'd always go that's weird. You haven't gone to the bathroom yet. I'm like,
or
is it?
Guilt on you. I have.
You only have to be continent of bowel to be in this.
Oh my goodness. We'll get this baby back on track. So then
that's a segue.
When you looked at graduate schools, what were your final choices and what led you to where you ultimately decided to go?
I got in. That's what.
Okay.
No,
that's my technique.
Diagnosis of exclusion.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. No, I like you guys. My top choice was USD, because I knew several. Right? Yeah, throw them up. Right. That was my number one.
Guess from somewhere else.
And then I applied to the U. I applied to Scholastica. My wife's originally from Texas, so one of her stipulations, we got married right before PT school, but one of her stipulations was that I need to apply to a school in Texas, and if I get in, then we're moving to Texas, because she does not care for the winters. But luckily I didn't get in down there, and it
just
actually
applied to nothing but HBCUs down there. That's a good call.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird. They
never called back. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy.
I thought they had it all nailed down.
The resume looked good.
Oh, Casey. So where'd you ultimately choose?
Well, so then I heard from one of my advisors at the college at SMSU. He said, "Oh, have you looked into Concordia St. Paul up in the cities?" And I said, "No, I didn't see him on PT Cast or anything like that. I didn't know that they were a program." And he said, "Well, I heard that they're just getting started up. You should apply." So I send all my stuff in. And
who was said advisor?
That was Bell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Name drop, baby.
Jeffrey we need more Bell. Name drops.
We need more name drops. That was Dr. Jeff
4
Bell.
new listeners now.
All these people don't pay us to drop their names, right?
This is just
Jason Banks has never sent us $1.
Oh, we have 5.
I might be getting him too.
Now.
I'll take him. I'll take him when I share this. I'll take Banksy.
Here it comes.
And we thank them for sponsoring today's podcast.
Brought to you by Cheeks.
Exactly. See, there you go.
Keep dropping them now. I'm into it.
Yeah.
So So he kind of said, look into them, and I applied, and they were and I think Jeremy and I have had this conversation when I was in school or when I was fresh out of school. They were the only program that gave me an interview, which my grades were not the greatest.
Of bitches.
I was
That's
not
garbage.
I was not the 4.0 student. I was not I maybe didn't have all the things on the resume, but that was kind of my thing, is if I can sit down and I can talk to you, I'm pretty sure I can convince you to let me in. They were the one program that gave me an interview, and I got in, and so we went up to the cities.
So were you like in one of their first classes then?
I was in the inaugural class. Yep.
Ooh, I would like to name drop. Were you in class with Amanda Whiting and Anna Tice? Oh, both former students of mine.
Amanda.
Wow, CI of the year. What up?
I've taken all of them, man. I was involved in their CAPT process as well at Concordia St. Paul, so you're welcome.
Wow. Humble brag.
I appreciate it.
Dang.
Yeah. So Amanda,
so much humility here.
Fingers
Amanda
everywhere.
I don't know that. I guess Blake was technically like our valedictorian. But she was one of the class representatives with me, or I was with her. I guess she kind of took lead on a lot of stuff, but she's awesome. She, even all the way through PT school, she's a cool cat. She knows what she's doing.
She's doing well now as well. I mean, she wouldn't come on to our show, so that's why we asked you. But I mean, still good Concordia St. Paul folks. Yeah.
Are we up to 6 new listeners now?
I'm just keep dropping. Yeah, she does that's neither here nor there. Good kids though. I was very impressed with the program, and I thought of those two, they were really competent. Impressive for me for a first year program. So
good.
Hats off to you guys. You did good.
Yeah. That's kind of I don't know. That's the feedback that a lot of us got, especially on like first clinical rotations. Like every clinic that we had heard from was like, whoa, you guys kind of know what you're doing here. Like what's going on with this program? And I mean, we were just like, I don't know. We don't know what school's like. We don't have a class above us to tell us if this is normal, or like this is the first time we've interacted with DIs or anything. So like we're just doing what we're kind of taught at this point.
Hungry, bro.
Well, I could see some legit. I'm going to give you some DAP on that and some legitimacy behind it. And the reason why, like when they go through those CAPT processes, we went through a shift at USD where we were right at the 10-year cycle. Yeah. And within the previous 10 years, we shifted to a doctorate program. So along the way, they needed to make sure that they were crossing every T, dotting every I. Yep, everything. And when we graduated, we did the walkthrough. Our chair at the time, Lana Sven, even said, she's like, well, CAPT came through. They came through when we were on our third final rotations or whatever, 3 years, and we passed. And they were like, you're actually kind of, I'll just use my own words, they were kind of clubbing us to death, like with redundancy with some of it, just to make sure, because they didn't want to leave any stone, unturned. So I could see that happening the same way with Concordia St. Paul, right? When you're at those early stages, they're just going to do everything they can to make sure they're going to pass. And if you're tough enough, if you have enough, fortitude, you get through it and you're better for it.
Because I swear, gosh, you don't want to be on that opposite side of it. I think Mount Marty went through that with like a PA program, maybe.
Mount Marty,
and they didn't get credentialing, and that's brutal, right? Like you talk about that time and that money, and then if you don't get credentialing, like that doesn't do you any good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're worthless. Can't take
it's crazy. Yeah,
that was the fun part of graduating, and of course, so I got my acceptance letter. And Nick, I don't know if you remember this. I was after I graduated college, I was going to work construction for my cousin, like I had done all through college, shingle roofs and siding and new home construction. And I was going to apply, retake classes and do shadowing, whatever, until I got into PT school. Because again, there was no plan B. This is it. And Nick calls me up one day. So I graduated in December, and I was about to start working construction. And Nick calls me up one day. He's like, "Hey, I don't know if you're still interested, like if the conversations that we've had in the past, if that's still interesting to you or not, but we got a position up front for like a therapy aide, receptionist. You should look into it, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Like I could definitely look into it. And he's just like, yeah, apply. And I was like, oh yeah. Sure, I'll do some digging. And he goes, yeah, apply. Just, you know, like, apply, look into it. I was like, all right. So then
bully.
Yeah, right. So
There was a lot of
I was strong-armed into being a receptionist.
there was a lot of heart involved there because it just echoed my own background that I shared out here a while back. But I was a PT tech for a good long while, and I felt like, just knowing where Ryan was at the time, that accumulating as much experience hours should matter, right?
Yeah,
and it's only gonna make you a better interviewee. And I knew we had a need. I knew he could fill it. I definitely knew from a technical standpoint he could check all the boxes and be, you know. And I think that's even, Ryan, you can maybe verify this, but I think it's probably created a lot of trickle down effect in the way you communicate with patients now to this day. Because you're so comfortable having those dialogues and engaging them immediately.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And it's important. Like, I don't know. I still think, like, you were always my favorite front desk gal.
See, and you took so much shit from this guy.
That's the other thing.
No, stop. Was it that bad? Was I that bad? Maybe. I hope not. But no, I mean, it's so good to know. It's so good to know, like, that end of the business too. Like, I don't know. I think that's a lot of where we fall short too, is like, we're just like, I'm just going to treat. And it's like, well, there's more factors into it than that too. And like, really taking care of that patient on all levels. So yeah. Man, it was obviously so awesome having you in the clinic. And I know you would probably look back and go like, man, it wasn't my ideal path. But man, like, I couldn't have been more happy for you when you got in, and obviously when you passed your boards and now you're doing what you wanted to do. So so awesome, man. So awesome.
No, yeah, I'm eternally grateful for truly forever grateful for the experiences that I've had and the opportunities that have come my way. And I guess I just trying to do what I can to kind of give back and pay it forward, if you will. But so I still joke about that all the time, where I tell people, for about a year and a half, I was one of the ladies up front here. And everyone kind of looks at me like, what the hell is that?
And then I transitioned back.
Oh,
that's
watch it.
There's
no rules, man. Now.
There's no rules.
You can have those conversations. You can have those conversations with kids in most states.
Wow.
Politics.
Wow.
True.
Polycharged podcast. Some water on this guy.
Yeah. So you got in.
Nick's job over. Let's move on.
Next week.
Does anyone have a
blank square for me?
I've just drawn a picture of you.
He's no longer with us. He was asked to resign. So you got through those years at CSP, and it comes time to what was your board prep like? Walk us through that.
That was, so we actually couldn't, because we weren't an accredited program. I couldn't take the boards in April. I had to wait until after graduation. So there was actually a really fun, there was a super fun 2-week period where I had graduated PT school with a $100,000 piece of paper that didn't mean anything. And then 2 weeks later, we found out that we were accredited and we could actually pass the board. So that was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Good feeling.
Yeah. Exciting.
But then
you're like, oh, better study.
Right.
Hate to waste your time if you couldn't.
So you tested in July.
Yep.
And then how many prep tests did you take?
I'm trying to remember. It was either 7 or 9.
Nice.
I think it was.
Same here.
I think it was 7.
11.
You took 11.
Yeah, but you needed all 11, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's so Jeremy.
I'm a bomb. I'm
And then there's
bum, man.
Casey who's like, I didn't take any.
Yeah, look,
Walked in
go
there.
enjoy, have some life experiences, guys.
Billy badass.
Jesus, take the wheel. We talked about this. Come on, just
It worked. He drove me. The
Hey,
answer is A.
Hey, Prometrics, you're welcome for me being here.
Yeah.
You took about-
I've
so you took-
graced you with my appearance.
Right.
You took about 7 to 9 tests to prep.
Yep.
Feeling
Yeah,
good?
the
Were you
worst-
feeling good, or were you kind of one of those mopey mopes? Like, I don't know if I'm gonna pass.
Like Jeremy.
Like Jeremy. I wasn't. Have you guys had Taylor on yet? I caught the most of these episodes. I haven't seen every single one of them.
We got to get the Hughes on here.
Yeah.
We got to get the Hughes.
He's got to tell his story. I don't want to ruin it, but there was something about Burger King involved. You'll have to have him tell it sometime.
Oh.
It's a pretty good story, but no, I mean, you guys are probably familiar with it too. Maybe not. I mean, apparently Casey's.
Just go ahead, tell me.
Yep, you're on. I
Let
didn't
it
even
fly,
know what
man. This
Score
is you.
Builders was called when we talked about these before. So Nick had to inform me of that.
Oh, Shawnee or O'Sullivan? What?
One of those.
One of the O's.
What's
As long
a
as there
book?
wasn't multiple O's as
O'Malley?
the choice, that was good.
O'Malley. It kind of got to the point where I remember taking every practice test that I would take, I would feel worse about it, and my score would keep going up. So it got to the point where I took the last one, and we were visiting friends up in Alexandria at their new house, and it was like I took the boards on Tuesday, and I think I took this last practice test on like the Saturday morning before or something like that. So I just grabbed my book bag and I was like, all right, guys, I'm going to head to the guest room. I'll see you in 3.5 hours or so. Like, see you guys. I take it and I'm feeling worse and worse and worse. And I'm going through and I'm clicking and I'm just like, and I hit submit and it's the best score that I've had so far. So I just slammed my laptop shut, threw it in the bag. I was just like, well, this is dumb. This is stupid. I don't know what's happening here.
I seem to remember you. Like, I can remember you in a little bit. As Jeremy was saying it, that brought back some memories too. But the crew that's always like, I did so bad, I'm gonna suck, I'm gonna fail, and you're like, you're not. Are you freaking kidding me? You're gonna pass. Now shut up.
Right.
The mind is powerful.
Go nail it.
I never got it. Like, I don't know what, and you probably didn't, I suppose, have these numbers, but like UND, the pass rate was like 90 some percent. I assume USD was similar.
Yeah,
it's like there's no way I'm
higher.
No, we were like 102%.
We were like 97%, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
so like
it was 102.
Yeah,
Way better than UND.
It was still way better.
So
We're like one person not passed the first time.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, so I don't know why so many people are like nervous about this thing. It's like,
because you work yourself up, you put too much emphasis on it.
It's the biggest test you've ever taken, right?
Like, unless you're the worst kid out of like 150 kids that have gone through this program, you're gonna pass.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance.
Don't be that guy. But your fear is a crippling son of a bitch.
Or it's a good killer. Or it's a good motivator.
Fear, and I'm not speaking like I'm a good test taker. I said that before.
Yeah,
that way.
You take that bastard out to SMU cafeteria and you party. That's what you do.
Baby.
That's what you do with fear.
We're going out to get the best damn cuisine ever.
Yeah, this is gonna be the best food you've ever had,
dude. I'm just saying.
Dude, I believe that honestly, and a lot of times we got a little community college out here that's got a culinology program, and they're supposed to be top notch.
How many
I haven't gone yet.
Programs are there?
Well, you know, hey man, you get.
I thought there just a moment ago. I thought there was only like
6 in the country. Yeah, there's
like,
still some conflicting information now.
Popping up everywhere.
Yeah, Jeremy, I need you to produce this for me.
All right.
Okay, so getting this baby back on track.
Yeah, so you passed.
You passed first time.
Yep.
And then where did you start working, and tell a little bit about how that's first start went.
Yeah, then I started with Big Stone out in Marshall, and I've been here, it'll be 5 years in July.
Yeah.
So did you know you were gonna work there pretty much like from the beginning? Like were you like, I've had this job in line for 3 years, or was it Like, oh, I hope a job's there when I graduate?
More both. I mean, it was
Okay.
more like that's where I want to be. I have the most experience there. I worked there. I was one of the ladies up front for a year and a half, right? That's where I want to be. Those are the folks that I want to work with Kirsten and Nick and Taylor and Jeremy, and we're gonna grow this thing and be this just unstoppable force in Southwest Minnesota. And then I started up and I was like, man, this is awesome. And like 3 months later, Taylor's like, hey, I'm out. I'm going to Olivia. And I was just like, oh, all right, that's cool. Like 6 months after that, Jeremy bounces too. And I was just like, all right, guys, I'm starting to think it's me, right? Like
there's a common denominator.
And then I came in.
And then I was stuck with Ryan.
Yeah, and then and then Nick just had me.
No, I was blessed to have you. It really was. It was like an awesome fit. I think I remember we met for lunch like that final summer before your third year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we went to the pub and had a couple beers, had some food, and just talked about what your plans were. And that's where I do think obviously relationships matter, but they're not the only thing. But they're a huge part of what we do. And if everybody, as Casey's saying, everybody's going to pass, and the vast majority are going to pass. They're going to come out, they're going to be equipped. And if they have you get to know them, right? That's what relationships are about. Like, they don't matter if the person sucks, but if the person's highly skilled, they're passionate, they're hungry, and they have all these other skills, you know that. You've seen them in action, and you have so much less of a risk when you go to hire that person, Right. That was easy hire. Ryan is easy hire. Jeremy. I mean, this is like, I feel like, and then just seeing where you guys are at now, it's just so freaking cool. It's such a rewarding thing going back to like, I think of the guys and gals who come through that SMSU program, and did some shadowing. Another guy who I'll name drop, Matt Carmody. Haven't mentioned him yet. Up in Big Stone, Madison, and awesome dude who came from SMSU and eventually went, I think, to USD as well. Just a good little pipeline. Yep.
So you hired both of these guys, Nick? Were you the hiring manager?
Yes.
Dolan, you know what's funny? I still remember, like, you had called me. It was after, I think, my first clinical. You called and like left the clinic number, and I wrote it like I was just like on the fly on my cellular. I think that was the first smartphone I had, by the way.
Telly, huh?
But anyways, yeah, it's Nick, and then the Marshal phone number in my netter. So I still keep that out. I like to use that for patient education. And I'm like, I always flip through, and I'm like, there's Nick in the Marshal Market Street number.
There you go.
I remember that call too. I was outside on my patio when we had that conversation.
I'm like, oh God, gotta get this number down. So
yeah, those were, it's just cool things. And when you got talented folks, you want to get them in, you want to take care of them. And Jeremy, we promised you, what was it, $12.50 an hour, 13?
Yeah, and you. And it took a lot of fighting.
Over delivered, baby.
You delivered.
But you delivered.
Yeah. I stood my ground, and you're like, well, I think we overpromised. We'll do $12.25. But I held my ground. I held my ground.
Yeah, he's a tough negotiator. Yeah. To this day, to your point, Casey, I think Jeremy, I do believe one other maybe, where we signed an employee agreement like that day, of the interview. We had it all ready, and we're like, let's not mess around with this thing. Let's not drag it out, because that's not who I am either. I don't want to lowball anybody. I want to be fair, and I want to just be able to say, hey, let's come together and make this thing work, because that process sucks. And I get why people do it. It's kind of like ingrained in certain DNA people. But, I'm not for that. I've said that before too. I just want to come in with a good, solid offer right away, and then not do the whole back and forth. Not have that person come back 4 days later and be like, well, now I leveraged it against something else, and now I want even more.
You know what's cool though, honestly, is like looking back, I do think that's like such a sweet way to hire people though, is like if they've been a student.
Totally.
And then like
yeah.
I said, like obviously Ryan, like you work there. So like you just like you work there prior to. So it's just like, a day, an hour, 2 hours, 2 days, whatever you do for your interview process, like both sides can kind of fake it, right? Like you can put on that pristine, like this is us. This is
totally 60, 90 minutes. You can do
I've
that.
fallen for it before.
Right.
It's frustrating.
And then, but you know what? Like
big time.
Nobody can fake that for 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, right?
No.
Years of working there, right? Like you get the good days and the not good days, and you know what you're in for, right? Like it's just, to me, ultimately in a perfect world, like that's the way to hire, is if you've been able to have that extended period of time. And I know like some people in outpatient get like hoity-toity where it's like, well, if you don't have 3 years of experience, you're not working in our clinic. And it's like, I don't know, I think that's lame. I think that's like management that's not willing to train, or mentor. I'm like, I'd argue, like, again, I'm like, I would say people that are coming out of school are just as equipped, if not more equipped, than somebody that's been out for 3 years. You might not be as polished, but you're just as equipped.
I think you're right I totally understand what you're saying, and I think I agree with a lot of it. I do think that there's a certain generational thing that we're seeing right now where people are afraid to take chances and take risks and learn on the fly. It's like they feel like they feel like they need to know everything before they even touch a patient. And it's like,
and you can't.
You can't. And we're seeing a little bit more of that. Like when I started, and we're all, admittedly, we're all wired differently, but when I started, I just couldn't wait to like fly without a net for a while, because you've just you spent like our final year, you spent treating with somebody watching over your shoulder and giving you that feedback. And it was kind of fun not to have that, but at the same time, hold yourself accountable and have some peers. Yeah, very squeamish. Segue coming.
Top 6.
No, too early, too soon.
But I guess, to that, I think the other added wrinkle, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but I don't think I ever was as tough on any students as I was on each of you guys during your clinical experience. And it's like, because part of me knew that what you guys were capable of, and I knew, you could be pushed and it was only going to make you better, right? And you guys stepped up. I mean, that you had it in you. And we still joke about Hurricane Jeremy. We had a cracked joke a couple weeks ago about that.
I heard that.
I'm going to train you. I'm going to get you better. I know all these research articles. I'm going to get you better really fast.
Yeah. And I think with each of you guys, it was like, hey, it was advice I got too back when I was a student, but it was like, relax, like, right? You don't have to know everything. And I know, Ryan, that was something we talked about like halfway through in that midterm. Like, it doesn't have to be the perfect eval because it doesn't exist. We're all humans. So,
and that's something that I give feedback to my last guy, that Nick knows. We given that
we ain't name dropping him.
No,
we ain't name dropping him. He left. He went somewhere else.
Ain't no dollar signs coming that way, yo.
Nope. You're not sponsoring this episode.
No.
You ain't no.
You know who you are.
Blue Chew.
So
go ahead, Ryan.
I'm gonna ask that Blue Chew money.
I kind of gave him that same feedback where I was like, hey man, I saw a lot of myself in him. It's, you walk in the room and it's got to be the exact. I'm such a perfectionist at heart that it's got to be the perfect evaluation. I got to ask the exact right questions at the exact right times. I got to run these special tests. I got to make sure I collect this information. And if I don't, I'm going to screw them up. And it's all just down the shitter from here, right? And I was like, it's not that doesn't happen, dude. It's not a thing. Like, just take it easy on yourself. You know what you're doing. I know that you know what you're doing. Just take a breath a little bit. If you miss something, get it next time. Like, nothing at the end of the day, don't forget why you got in this, and that's to help people, right? I don't care if you you miss a measurement or what have you, if you got somebody that's in front of you that's in a ton of pain, do something to calm it down, right? If they're super emotional, set the computer aside and just be there for them. If you can't do anything on a musculoskeletal standpoint to help that person out, then just be there for them, right? Whatever that means is my biggest thing. Is I want you not to forget that. Don't do a little bit of paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, that was a big key.
And get too caught up in the moment or whatever. Just treat the person in front of you. Be good to the human across the table from you, and you're going to be all right at the end of the day. And he did great. He did fine.
That's such good advice. That was one of the best advices. My old manager, Tim Peterson.
Shout out
gave me was like after the first year, it was like, you're doing great. Like your evals, your paperwork's really thorough. Like you seem like you got this, but like, it's okay to be yourself. Cause I went in very business-like, it was like we talked about, we had our flow charts. I wanted to make sure I covered everything. And it was like, this is the best treatments. EMGs will tell me this is the best exercise for what you're going on. Here's, these research things. And he was like, you sit back here in the office and you're having the time of your life with your coworkers. And then you get in these rooms with these patients and you're very like, this is what you need. This is
overly didactic.
Yeah. Were you stoic?
Yeah, well, probably a little bit, because it was like, this is business, this is, I know my crap, so I'm going to tell you my crap. And, it was some of the best advice he ever gave me. I loosened up. People responded better. I think you said it, Jeremy, in one of the episodes too, like, if you can just be friends with your patient or get them comfortable with you and make them feel like you're the best person to take care of them, no matter what you do with them.
Yeah,
you're probably going to get better.
Yeah, I always think like treat them like you treat your family, or just treat them like in terms of like overall, like, man, if I was sitting in the chair opposite of me, what would I be expecting? Right? Like a little bit of empathy and like Ryan said, like in a nutshell, just meet them where they're at, because some people will respond really well to that. Like, boom, boom, boom. This is our plan. This is what I got. This is what research says. Boom, 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 boom. And some people, you do that and it's just like glossy-eyed. Sorry, see ya.
You can see them. You can see them shut down. You can watch them. I'm with you.
If you're aware,
good. And then boom, I mean, I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I understand some of I'm starting to feel like I actually kind of am getting a handle on this thing. And you can feel that. And even now, I still, 2 weeks ago, I had that where things are going well and everything's fine. And I know the exact moment where they're not in it. And I'm
checked out.
Yep, they just boom, they're for whatever reason lost them. And you can feel it. You know exactly when, like, oh, I'm not going to see this patient again, or it's just not going to be the outcome that either one of us hope that it's going to be.
But how quick can I catch that though? Right. Like, because some people are just like really, really okay with like, well, they just weren't compliant. And it's like, well, like we're like better than that as a profession. Like it shouldn't just be that. Like, ultimately, like some people will just be that way, but it's like, well, how can I do what I do better too? Right. Like, how can I reach this person better? Because it's not a one size fits all,
if you don't connect with them, it's not. You can be the wisest, smartest, most intelligent person, but if you don't connect with people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I've even had times, as you get bigger clinics and things, you get that feeling too, like, oh, I don't know if I'm the person that's going to get this person better per se. Like, I'm okay with letting a different one of my coworkers that has a different personality treat somebody too. I've humbled myself enough now to realize that maybe I'm not like the best person for every single patient that walks through the door. I mean, we could provide the exact same treatment, but there's factors I can't control. I maybe have a patient that has some PTSD from male sexual assault, and boy, I just don't know if I'm ever going to get there with them. Maybe someday they will be able to have a success with me, but not today, and have a female therapist, that's great. That's probably going to do a better job, that way, or connect better. I shouldn't say a better job, but so I think there's some of that humility too. And we talk about that with students when we teach too, is like, as far as like referring out to, as we're becoming frontline people, we can't be so confident in everything we do that we never refer out either. I think we can fall into that trap too. If we want to be part of this medical community, we got to put our egos at the door sometimes too. So
yeah.
100%.
Well, that's awesome.
I agree. I was just going to say that's normally when I'm over the last year or so, probably 2 years. I got a PTA, Kate. Does that count? Is that
that's like a half name. I don't know. That's worth 25 cents probably.
All right, fair enough. So my PTA, we've worked together for four years now. Somehow she's still putting up with me. I'm not really sure how that's possible, but she's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's solid.
And we have those conversations all the time where I'm just like,
can be ties.
I think I think this person is just gonna do better with you.
When you have solid roots, the product doesn't ever stray too far, right? Like, can be stand up. What?
From the roots to the fruits.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Is that what it says under your statue?
Lancer legend.
Is that what it says at your statue?
Ugh.
No, you're right. Landy, you're right. Big shout out to Kate Rainier.
That's worth the whole dollar.
Yeah. Rock solid PTA stud.
Wow, rock solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, woo. They don't even pay us.
That's good stuff. Ryan, I feel like we have so much more we can talk about, but we are kind of running into it a little bit, gentlemen. I have so many questions about the stuff you do now that I if you'd have us, boy, I'd like to get you back on.
Get you back on the pod sometime.
Finish. I know I love the Ock Hell stuff. I think that's a cool thing. I'd love to get into more. We could probably dedicate a whole thing to that. So
yeah,
I don't want to feel like we're rushing this deal, but I think we got to move on. Sorry.
Yeah. My stomach's turning. My stomach's turning.
Get squeamish already, babe.
I'm sweating. Is it hot in here? I don't know.
It's just Casey's quarter zip top.
Oh,
it's very warm.
Blinding, baby.
Yeah, it's like a fleece.
That's nice.
It's nice. Yeah. Hunter orange.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for just coming on and sharing your history there, being willing to do that. And definitely we'll have to get you back on and talk more current stuff.
Yeah, we got the formalities out of the way, but let's see what kind of person you really are.
5. We got a 4-man top 5. I'm worried we're gonna squeeze this in 6 hours, baby. This could get nasty.
Yeah.
So, as we've been promising for a few weeks on end, it is now time for the most squeamish scenes in movies that we have actually watched. So it has to be a film.
Boom.
It has to be something that you've seen, at least the overwhelming majority of it, if not the whole thing. You can't just be like
where you lost
YouTube, you read about it or something like that.
Now, if the squeamish scene made you stop the movie and you never finished it, that would count, right?
It counts. That would count.
I mean, I finished all my movies.
Yeah.
I would say I've watched every movie on my list more than once. But
boys, I hope you ate before this because you ain't gonna have an appetite after.
What?
So should we go I'm presuming Casey's got to go last because I think we need to buffer the audience and everybody involved in this thing. So we'll start least squeamish to most.
Yeah.
Say Casey's just nasty.
Mine's not that bad. I gotta say, after researching other like I said, I went down the rabbit hole of grossest scenes. And I started watching movies I had never seen, just the clips of them. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot worse movies out there than the ones I've seen. So there's probably 40 scenes worse than the scenes I have on my list.
Yeah. And there's stuff that I'm not even familiar. I'm sure there's some sickos out.
But yeah, I would say really let's kick it off with Jeremy.
Let's start there.
And then so Ryan can see how this whole thing plays out. Then we'll go Ryan, then you, then me. How's that sound?
Yeah, so Ryan, we'd usually do Jeremy will do his number 5, and you'll do your 5, I'll do my 5, and then we'll do round robin. So without further ado, Jeremy, take it away with your number 5.
Guys, I hope no one is expecting really much out of me in this, because you lost me in movies you've actually watched, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't watch scary movies. Freaking hate them.
But you're married to someone who does.
Yeah,
you've had to peek through your fingers at some point at something scary.
My wife may be down in this basement doing her own work right now. Yeah, she loves scary movies. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. Like, I won't do it. I won't watch. Like, I'll even
shout
get
out
like
to Amy Van Klompenberg.
yeah, I might even get ding. I might even get like semi pissed about it, where I'm like, no, why would I watch that?
You need to take that fear out to the cafeteria and buy it a nice meal.
Yeah, maybe a little filet mignon from SMSU culinology.
No, my mind is still blown about this thing. There's a gem out there I've never even heard of.
I had to Google that culinology was even a word. But anyways, so
get to it.
What's this number 5? Number 5 comes from The Ring. I know you said it couldn't be on there, but that's pretty freaky for me. It's your call. The one lady's walking down the room or down the hallway, and there's water in the hallway. She like opens the door, and the 16-year-old kid's face that like she died, just like it freaked me out. So that's my number 5.
Okay.
That's fair.
Fair. We're not gonna criticize you for this, because I'm not
such a judgmental zone.
Yeah, it's 100%.
No, absolutely. That's what you signed up for. Than that.
I know. When we're done with this, I'm gonna sit and just shit talk you to my 5-year-old. Can you believe Jeremy got scared by that stuff? We're sitting here watching torture movies.
Torture porn. All right.
It's okay, Jeremy. It's not for everybody.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, that was a great number 5.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you for participating.
Good.
All right, Ryan Landy, new guy, guest of honor.
Number 5. I had to rework my list a little bit. I talked to Nick this morning, and he further clarified that it has to be a movie.
Yeah.
Right. So then I had to shift things around a little bit.
Yep. That was yesterday, by the way. That was yesterday. Yeah, I was in Alex today.
A lot of prep time.
So time is a
lot of time. Fine. Yes.
Number 5, I got the Daniel Craig torture scene from Casino Royale.
That does make you put your thighs together. Jeremy's you're a Bond dude. So.
That's not
Tell
scary.
Ryan, enlighten the audience.
Yeah, justify
takes
it.
Place.
So Daniel Craig, James Bond, 007, shaken not stirred, right? He's captured by the enemy, and he watches the dude carve out the bottom of a wicker chair, and Daniel Craig's stripped naked and he's put on the chair, and the bad guy, I forget his name, but he, what's that?
Le Chiffre.
Yes, Le Chiffre.
It's right. French.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yep. French for the sheep.
Played by a Dane, but
it's French for the sheaf. He's got a monkey foot knot tied on a rope, and he says it's something along the scene goes something along the lines of this torture isn't a complicated thing. You have to inflict more pain than a man can possibly endure, right? And he takes this monkey foot and he continuously just wraps him along the underseat of his naked flesh.
So the scrot,
which is
undercarriage,
where your testicles live.
Correct.
Sound like not for long.
Gary.
Right. So
he takes a few. He takes a few though. Ugh.
But yeah, apparently Jeremy's into that sort of thing. Like he was
didn't
really
bother him at all.
I don't know his reaction to that. He was like,
"Yeah,
what do you mean? That's a great movie." I don't know.
That's fine.
He's like, who doesn't have one of those wicker stools in their house? We're just gonna jam everything up there every time you sit.
Over in Michigan, where the serial killers roam, apparently that's common play.
It's like an Adirondack chair out here. They're everywhere.
They're just cut out around.
It helps the humidity.
Basically a commode. Yeah, so that one never really sat well with me. That's my 5.
Gotcha. All right, very good. My number 5, I just rewatched again Friday night, parts of it. Not a horror movie, but the brutal whipping scene of Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ.
Mm.
Chunks of flesh fly, blood splattering. It is
That is
so
squeamish.
brutal, so powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, I timed it because I only watched, so with our older kids, I felt they were appropriate to watch at least after he's crucified, because that's what we went through in church on Friday night. And and at least by that, I mean, by that point, like the aftermath is shown on his body, but everything leading up to it is just so brutal to watch.
Yeah.
So difficult to watch, but yet, powerful and, transformational. So that's my number 5, Passion of the Christ 2004, Jim Caviezel playing Jesus and just getting brutally whipped.
I watched that in the theater. You
Yeah.
talk about experiences, man, that brought me to tears, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was nuts.
yep.
That I watched, that was one. I bet I've watched less than 25 movies in a theater. I'm not even joking, my whole life. And that was one that was like super powerful. That's for sure.
Yeah. Very powerful. So
Same.
that's my number 5 case.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good choice. Didn't make my list, I guess. I don't know. It's squeamish, but I don't know. At the same time, you kind of, it's
Like,
part of the story, and it's like, I know he had to go through all this crap, but like, obviously, what it all comes out to,
Yeah. But even this time
but-
around, like I've seen it multiple times, and I'm still like, there's certain, I don't know, just the way Mel Gibson shot it. There's certain shots that I'm like, I want to even like turn away from,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the brutality of it too. Like, I think when you visualize that, where it's not just like, well, you think nailed to a cross, and it's like, well,
Oh, I know what I was going to
Just
mention. So I
used to it.
mentioned the time, like I timed it. It's like from the moment that starts, there's over an hour left in the film.
yeah.
I mean,
Oof.
it's just, I think that's the other part of it too. It's just, it takes some endurance to like get through it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that scene was like built up a lot for me before I saw it, because everybody had seen it. It was a
And
pretty
you were
popular
totally
movie.
let down and disappointed.
Well, I wouldn't say I was let down or disappointed, but I think like, because people that were going to the movie and seeing this were like the Jeremys of the world that were like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I was throwing up in the theater. And I go to it and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty squeamish. Like, I looked away a few times, but at the same time, I guess I didn't have quite that visceral reaction that a lot of people had.
Yeah.
So it's a good choice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
fully
Well, thank
approve.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Get to your number 5, man.
My number 5, 2003, a movie that made my what would we call disappointing movies list? House of a Thousand Corpses. There is a scene. There's lots of turn your head away moments in that movie, but the scene that really got me in the theater was when the cops go out there to check into the missing persons thing. There's 2 police officers and a retired cop that go out there, and the sheriff goes into the house and the other 2 guys go out back to check, and the sheriff's being all wined and dined and come on in, sheriff, nothing to see here, and the other guys go in the back and they open the shed with like 10 dead children.
1,000 corpses.
No, it was like 4 corpses. That movie was misleading that way. But
Yeah.
there was a bunch of dead girls. He radios the guy, and like the girl in the house shoots him in the neck. The retired cop takes off running. One of the other guys just blasts him down as they're like interspersing clips of like him at Christmas with his family, like this whole life he's had because he's a retired cop and like his perfect life. And then the third cop, they get him on his knees and he puts the gun to his head, and it's like 30-second pan out of this gun in this guy's head, and you're just like waiting for him to kill him, because it's like, this movie is so depressing. Like, that was the only hopeful point in that whole movie, where you're like, oh, the cops are finally going to go out there and they're going to get him and they're going to give him a chance to escape, and they just brutally murder these 3 cops. So it's just that buildup of like, oh, they're going to do it, and then you quickly realize like they're not going to do it, and then they draw that scene out for like 2 minutes. It's brutal. It just sits, my stomach turns the whole time, because I'm like, these poor cops are doing their best, and it's the last hope for anybody, and it's a brutal scene. I don't like it. It's part of the reason I don't like that movie. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, solid. Jeremy beat that, big boy.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
House of
All mine are going to
2,000
be
corpses.
trash. All of mine are going to be trash. Like, we know this going into it.
We all heard Nick's female vocalist list. You're okay.
Oh, mine was so good. It's so good. Go back, check out.
It's going
8.
down.
It's in the archives. Yeah.
Anyways, no, like, gosh, I maybe didn't do this right either. I feel like Nick last week, where I'm like, I don't know if I read the question right. But it's not like squeamish necessarily, but it's like in terms of like gross, but it's just was freaky to me. And you guys are all gonna be like, this is so dumb. But it was Blair Witch Project at the very end of the movie. No, come on, man.
Thanks, Ryan.
At the very end of the movie,
where the dudes float in the corner.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's my honorable mention, baby. That's on my list.
that is freaky,
Yeah,
dude.
that's a haunting scene.
That is because and it's part of like the whole
it's creepy
feel of the movie, right? It's just like the crappy cinematography and I don't even remember his name is Josh or whatever it is. Man, where is he? He's in the basement. And then they go and he's just like standing in the corner. I'm like, ugh. Oh, man.
Yeah, I will say, like, my stomach dropped at that moment. Like it doesn't hold well. Like, I would watch that scene now and it would do nothing for me. But I do remember watching in the theater and being like, oh no. And then the movie ends and we're like, okay, that was kind of.
Then what happens?
But yeah.
They
died.
But that's it for me.
That's a good. It's a good finale to a movie. Kind of left you.
No, I don't think that's a bad choice, Jeremy. That probably is on lots of people's list. That movie was super popular.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, well, I think of squeamish as like
I'm getting into semantics now.
Yeah. I always thought of it as just like a visceral response, like my autonomic nervous system kicked in when I saw that scene.
Right.
Like,
well, plenty of that coming up later. Ryan.
Right. Number 4, I got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. I think that was 2006 ish. It
was a prequel, right?
Obviously, that was
not Jessica Biel
prequel. Right? Yep, that was the prequel to Jessica Biel's 2003 or 2004 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a scene where the protagonist is another young female. She goes like down in the basement and finds her boyfriend, and he's pinned down on a table and his forearms are completely ripped wide open, defleshed, degloved, and talking to Jeremy just full on left. Yeah, he's scared. He's gone. He's out. Nope.
He took his
in the corner right now.
He took his AirPods out. I don't know how to listen.
So all I remember, and I won't. That's the difference between me and like Casey and me and Nick. Like I'm not gonna go back and rewatch it. So like the images that are burned into my brain are the only ones that I'm gonna revisit. But it's something about she comes downstairs and she finds him and he says, are my arms gone? And she says, what? And he says, are my arms still attached? I can't feel them. And you can see that they're completely degloved all the way down, whatever. So then she's trying to get him loose, and she hears Leatherface coming down the stairs, right? So she hides under the table.
Dolan?
Nick Leatherface Dolan.
Leatherface Dolan, yes. She hides under the table, and he's like talking smack to Leatherface, trying to kind of keep his attention on him so he doesn't find her. And Leatherface takes the chainsaw, revs her up, and just proceeds to shove that through him, through the table, revs her up, and she's just getting bathed in all kinds of her boyfriend's. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I've never rewatched it. Probably won't. Mm-hmm. So like the last few of these, you guys are probably going to be like, oh really? I was 15 at the time, 16 at the time when I saw that.
Okay.
So like that, like the rest of my list are all like, I was probably, 16 is maybe not too bad for that, but I was young for that. Like I was just like, I don't need that. Like today, that probably wouldn't do anything to me, but yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, that sounds definitely worthy, Ryan. Very solid choice. I have not seen that one. We made it Michelle and some friends and I, we rented like Jessica Biel one that you said before that in 03. And within the first 5 minutes, we shut it off when the girl takes the like pistol out of her personal cavity. I'm like, and I looked around and Michelle was just like, had this, not a scared look, just a disgusted look on her face. And I'm like, yeah, we don't need to go through this tonight.
Way to read the room.
Yeah. So, but yeah, good choice.
Yeah, it sounds horrible. I've never seen that one either.
You haven't seen it? Oh, Casey, you'd like it.
I probably would.
Going back now, I said I got one of my 2 horror entries coming up right here. Going back to when I was a kid, I've referenced this before. The 1986 version of The Fly. The final climax scene. There's so many scenes throughout this. Ryan talked yesterday. I didn't put Slither in here just because there's so much just disgusting all the way through. You almost get like numb to it.
I was gonna say Slither had the same thing for me. I was numb by an hour into that movie. I was like,
and James Gunn,
it's all
he's trying to be funny, that humor doesn't work for me, but it also takes some of the edge off too. I don't know. But with The Fly, there's a final climax scene that starts where Goldblum's like really, really deformed. There's so much emotion to it too. He's trying to drag Gina Davis into like one of the pods, and he wants like his goal is to like fuse them all together. And she's pregnant with his kid, and he wants just to have one massive person, and her ex-boyfriend, who you thought was like the bad guy, but he shows up to like save her. Too bad. Jeff's just gonna vomit on his hand and his leg, which is acidic, and sadness lift up. I mean, David Cronenberg just knew what he was doing with body horror, and he doesn't hold anything back. And then when he's still trying to drag Gina into the pod, she like goes to kind of smack him away, and his whole jaw falls off, and then he proceeds to transform into like the final version of The Fly. It's just a brutal movie, sad movie too. There's a lot of sadness throughout that because it's just slow transformation with him. Jeff Goldblum, I think, was so amazing back then, and now when you watch him, he's still like super funny. Like in Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, super funny. But everything else that he does from an interview standpoint, it feels like he's just trying to be a character for himself now. Right? So somebody's got to do a Goldblum, right? Where he's, and then I don't know what I'm doing, right? But that's like his whole thing now. But back then, he was so damn good and so believable as like a crazy guy who's just idealistic, in nature. And tragic movie, but damn gross.
What if he's still a fly? And that's that's the
dead.
Change that happened.
He's like half fly, like the fly's like taking over his mentality, right? I mean, that's kind of like the thing about it.
What if that was a documentary?
No, it was
and
not.
He's right behind you right now.
And there's like there's deleted scenes that Cronenberg shot that didn't make the film, and you're just like, dear Lord, what's going on in Canada? This guy's just, what's going through his Canadian brain?
They're wrestling bears and drinking maple syrup.
And drinking syrup.
Man, and he's coming hot off of the Scanners. I mean, I think he'd done a couple things. Scanners was an honorable mention. Now heads blown up and stuff like that. But
yeah, that scene's immortal.
That's my number 4, The Fly, 1986.
Perfect. Yeah, good choice. I was probably a little too young I didn't watch that as well as I should have. It was a Through a Fingers movie.
As well as I should
have. My number 4 was from 2006, not a horror movie at all. It's from the movie Alpha Dog. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but story of a kid that gets kidnapped by a drug dealer, ends up getting killed in the middle of the desert. And there's just something about that final scene. Justin Timberlake plays the drug dealer, secondhand man that kind of is with this kid the whole time, and they just become really good friends to the point where he gives this kid a chance to escape. He's like, hey man, if you just go, I'm not gonna stop you. And the kid's like, oh no, dude, we're best buds. Like, I'm not worried. Like, I know this is all gonna turn out well. And Anton Yelchin plays the kid that gets killed.
Yeah.
And tragically he's passed away as well, but he just did a killer job being just this naive kid through the whole movie, and that relationship between him and Justin Timberlake so good. And at the end of the movie, they take him out to this desert, and this kid's gonna die in the whole movie. I mean, it's not a surprise by any means, because as people go through, they talk about witnesses. They'll show like witness number
Yep.
22, like as the court case went on. So like they get out to this desert and 2 hikers walk by, 37, 38. And it's just 3 guys and then this kid, and they're going out there, and the one guy's, he's no way, and he hugs him and he runs off like he won't be part of it. And that's when it hits the kid that like, hey, nobody's coming to pick me up, are they? Like, because they had told him, hey, we're going to take you out here and we'll set you free or whatever. And like he kind of realizes like, holy crap, they're going to kill me. And Justin Timberlake's like, no, man, we're buddies. I'd never hurt you. He's tearing up, and this kid's tearing up, and the third guy's like stone cold. He knows what he has to do. That's kind of his job. They take the kid up, and there's a grave dug, and he starts just bawling, I don't want to die. I won't tell anybody. And it's just so hard to see. It's so heartbreaking to see. This movie builds up to this whole point. So it's like squeamish in the fact that like, I don't want to see this kid die. Cause like you just grow to like this relationship and the whole thing. And yeah, they tie him up, and the guy hits him with a shovel, and they shoot him. And it's just brutal. It's a pretty tough scene to watch. I thought when I was going to rewatch it that I was going to knock it off on my list, because it was one of those things that popped up right away. Like I remember that. That's just a scene, but I was like, I'm sure it doesn't hold up. And I went back and rewatched it, and like I had a hard time sitting through it again. I was like, God, man, that kid is super tragedy that he died so early, because he was a hell of an actor. I mean,
yeah,
he was see it in that scene too. So that's my number 4, Elf Dog.
All right, interesting take.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
I do not want to see.
He's like, what does this guy have next?
I'm just trying to facilitate keep it moving,
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I think in horror movies, I think kids are really creepy. Some would say squeamish. I don't know. Maybe not.
Depends on your interpretation of a question.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I feel like I did this all wrong. But the remake of Amityville Horror, I actually saw.
Ooh,
and I think
the
that's
Ryan Reynolds one.
Ryan Reynolds one, yeah.
I like that movie.
There's a scene where the little kid's talking, and the mom walks in with like a laundry basket or whatever, and she's like, who are you talking to? And she's like, I'm talking to, it's like Jody or something, like, right? Like, and then it's just like the mom like walks past, and then it just like flashes this like demonic little kid. And that's enough for me. And that's always a freaky movie too. Like
jump scare.
I'm never gonna buy an old house, like, ever. Because I want to make sure the whole family's not ever been murdered in it. So
see,
because you just never know. Because you just never know.
Yeah,
I think
like for me is like Ryan Reynolds.
The windows do this.
That's like his worst performance he's ever done. Is that movie?
No, it's not.
Like
he's done a lot of terrible ones.
Name something worse. What's he done worse than
Green Lantern?
What was that? Green Lantern?
I don't know if he's as bad. His role in this, he's just trying.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyways, I thought the babysitter in the closet scene in that movie was kind of a tough scene.
That was a lot. That was a lot to watch. Yeah. You could feel, right? You felt like trapped with her. You felt kind of like claustrophobic with her.
They call that visceral.
Yeah, that gave me a visceral response more than anything else.
Oh yeah. No, I hear you. That's
all right, Jen. No, you can have. That's totally cool. You could have your take.
I probably had my eyes under a cover most of that part.
During the babysitter scene. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
but you missed Reynolds take his shirt off and chop a bunch of wood though.
No, you got to watch that part. That's totally.
Once that happened, Michelle was all like, "I mean, wow."
She's like, "That's visceral."
Yeah. So what happened after your date, Nick? Tell us more.
Nope. Gentleman never tells. All right. Yeah, I can go with that, Jeremy. I get that. All right, Landy. Number 3, numero tres.
Numero trace. I thought it was, so this is the first Saw reference. Okay, maybe not the only. I don't know.
Needle scene.
Jeremy, just go ahead and shut it down. Put it on mute and shut
take the pods out.
Take them out. You're not gonna want to hear this. I thought it was Saw 3, but here's how off because I've never gone back and watched any of the Saw movies. Again, once is enough, right?
Yeah.
But
Mostly
today I was
acting.
actually, what's that?
Mostly because of the acting.
Correct.
Yeah, I even watched some of those.
Plot's not great, right? The acting's subpar, but I thought it was Saw 3, but I think it was actually Saw 6. Just based on, I didn't realize that I had watched that many, but
tells you like everything you need to know about the series too.
I was 7 off.
Correct.
We're gonna kill about 9 to 12
came,
people in terrible ways.
I came to that conclusion because I did the IMDb and I know who the actor, I know what he looks like, and so I just went off of that to find the plot.
Gotcha.
Because I don't have any idea. It's been 10 years more, almost 15 years since I've seen it. But one of the Saw movies, either way, I think it's a detective or something. He's going through and he's kind of like repenting almost for his sin type things, where he busted some people along the way and they weren't supposed to be, or let him off or something along those lines. Anyway, he's got this kid, younger guy, in the movie he's probably 18, 20, and he's got him pinned up in this like kind of Vitruvian man, like all 4 limbs in his head are all in sprawled out starfish fashion. And
that kid actually killed his son, I believe. He ran him over. No, he killed a child. He hit a child with his car.
That's what it is. All right, so you know what I'm talking about. You might help me out if I get
familiar with the scene.
Of course, Casey knows.
But
and the kid actually repents, and he's in med school at this point. Like,
that's right.
So you kind of feel bad for the kid because he has tried to turn his life around.
See, now I'm getting interested. There's like a plot involved. You're screwing me up now.
Correct.
That makes it more visceral.
You just give it time. So something about
it doesn't end well for him, Nick.
It's not great. It's he's up there, and there's something about a timer, and every time so many seconds go by, another limb gets like twisted basically off. And you're watching the arm like continue to spin, and then compound fracture after compound fracture. So they're going from limb to limb.
Yeah, clearly showing the bones bursting through the skin.
Yeah. And then it finally comes to the head, and of course that starts spinning, and it comes like all the way around or something. And the kids, this whole time, the is it the cop or a judge or something?
I believe he's a cop, but I'm a little fishy on.
So I don't remember that.
The plot gets a little convoluted through the 12 of them that there are.
Right. And the kid he's in med school and whatever, and he's saying like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, or something like that. I'm trying to do better. And the cop is saying, I'm sorry, it's fine, I forgive you, or something like this. And it's
and he's like trying to stop the machine with his hands.
It's bad. So needless to say, I've never gone back to rewatch it. That was more than enough for me.
It sticks in your ribs.
I think Saw 6. I don't know.
I don't know if it's that far down the list.
Jeremy, what's your take on it?
Maybe like a 4. I'm not 100% sure.
What did you think when you didn't watch it?
You know, I probably did. I watched a few of the Saws. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I did. I was thinking you're going with the needle scene where they were
That's like everyone's top squeamish Saw scene, and I don't get that. That scene doesn't bother me at all.
The pit of needles.
Yeah,
maybe it's because people are so afraid of needles, but it's like
I think they said they created like it was like 150,000 fake needles for that scene. It's crazy.
Oh, I heard like the chick's got to crawl across a bunch of.
She's got to find a key.
Hypodermic needles. Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually like those ones didn't bother me as much. I guess maybe.
If I'm gonna be honest, that's like the only Saw trap where I'm like, I think I could do that one.
Yeah.
Like you guys dry needle. Like it's not that far off from dry needling.
I mean, I went to UND. 90% of people pass that test.
Yeah.
I can figure this out.
I'm pretty confident in that one. Like needles aren't gonna kill you. Right?
It's stupid, right? I get a couple
not right away.
Pricks.
Yeah, I mean, how many needles, like how many pinprick needles do you think it takes to kill a human being?
A lot.
Yeah, right. I mean,
you might get hepatitis
probably
out of
not
it.
comfortable.
But do you think, like, in your mind, you really think Jigsaw's going around just like stabbing homeless people with needles to fill this pool up? I'm sure they were clean. Anyway, sorry, move on.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Your saw scene was great. That needle scene's
That was
garbage.
great. You did a good job of laying out I said this before. I've only ever seen Saw 1, and then never saw any
Smart
other
choice
ones again.
stopping.
You're
Saw
missing
2
out.
is pretty decent minus the needle scene. But
Okay. I'm surprised Jeremy's you're surprising me, son. You're kind of, I would have not guessed you're a Saw guy, but
That's a little bit crazy to me.
I'm not a Saw guy in terms of like, oh man, let's go watch Saw. But I did see some Saw.
wow.
was that in of those 25 that you've seen in a theater?
No.
Had to be in the safety of home.
I was not paying for that.
Head under a pillow. I'm watching, I'm not watching, I'm watching, I'm not watching. My number 3 is from just a couple years ago. I kind of had some references to this as well recently, but it's from 2019's Dr. Sleep. There's a scene where the True Knot vampiric crew, and it's even worse in the book, but the movie does a solid portrayal of it to give it justice. But, Jacob Tremblay plays a very small character. Jacob Tremblay, super talented young actor out there. Plays what's called the baseball boy, and in the book it's only seen through the young girl's like her telepathy. But the True Knot captures him, kidnaps him after a baseball game, takes him out, and they're a kind of a vampiric supernatural set of beings, and they get steam. They call it steam. It's like a drug for them that they get off of these clairvoyant characters. So such as Danny from the first Shining, and then these other special characters that they can kind of send out. And in order to get it at the strongest level, they have to torture these people. And they basically, the movie splices so far out, you can't always tell what's going on, but you know, splicing that with the book, they're basically skinning him alive, and he's a kid. And he's like 12, and they're breathing him in as like this this kind of elemental stuff leaves him, and it's super powerful. Hits you really, really hard. As I mentioned before, I think Stephen King is one of the few guys to go after kids in his books and in his source material. So that wrenches on me. Incredible scene. I think it's pretty good movie overall too. Actually holds up very well. Ewan McGregor's pretty damn awesome in it. So is not Rose Byrne. I'm thinking of is it Rebecca Ferguson plays the villain, but pretty good roles all together. Rebecca Hall maybe. No, Rebecca Ferguson. I don't know. She's Irish. But that's my number 3, Dr. Sleep 2019.
It's a movie I keep meaning to watch because I think I'd enjoy it. I'm a Stephen King guy, but I've just never watched it. Never read the book either. So
That's connected to The Shining though.
it's like a sequel.
It's a sequel. Picks up like 30 years afterwards. It follows the
So
son
who
Danny.
is Ewan McGregor?
The little boy
Danny?
Danny. Yep.
Oh.
And see, the movie kind of breezes through it, but the first quarter of the book, he's like a total raging alcoholic. Through his life, he's carrying all these demons. Obviously his dad was messed up, but his dad was an alcoholic. So there's a lot of Stephen King's personal life coming out in this too, like the demons of alcoholism and stuff. And then he finally like sobers up, and the book spans a massive chunk of time because he's sober for like 10 years. And he's working at a assisted living place and helping people. And his job, he is Dr. Sleep. And he's called in when he can tell when somebody's going to pass away. And what he does is he goes and sits by him and helps put him at peace and helps him go into rest. So he's a good character. He's a good natured character. But there's a lot of this stuff going on. He can start figuring out that this group called the True Knot, which is very supernatural piece to it, that they've been going around the whole country and killing people like him to get this, what they call the steam off of them. So really cool. Highly recommend it.
My number 3 from 2006.
Jeremy hated them.
Yeah.
He's not scared.
He's going to go watch Dr. Sleep right now. My number 3 is Pan's Labyrinth is the movie.
Okay.
What? The scene is when
I'm here.
okay. There's a scene in the movie where I'm gonna butcher this, but it's something along the lines. They're in the Spanish War, and the one side's hunting the other side, and they find some people firing guns off near their property, and they get these guys, and it's a pretty elderly man. I would say he must be, I don't know, 60, and his 40-year-old son. And they said, well, my dad was out hunting rabbits. We're just poor farmers. And these cops get up there, and the dad tries to explain like why he was hunting rabbits, because his daughters were sick and he's trying to feed them. And they go dig through his stuff, and they're like, oh, there's propaganda in here. And his son looks at the main guy and he goes, hey, if my dad says he's hunting rabbits, he's hunting rabbits. And then the main bad guy, it's kind of nonchalant about it, pulls out like a bottle of wine, and he goes up to the guy and he hits him on the face with the bottle of wine. And then he holds him and proceeds to smash his face like into the back of his skull. Like, and it's a full view of this guy's face just caving in and blood splattering, takes the gun out, shoots his dad. And this guy's starting to crawl away with like no face, and he shoots him. And it's a hard scene to watch. They set it up. Fun fact, I didn't know much about Pan's Labyrinth. I bought it on DVD because I think it won some awards, and people said, oh, that's a beautiful movie.
I have that movie. I can't remember that scene though.
It's
probably like 20 years.
I thought it was like a PG-13 movie. Like, I didn't even look when I bought it. So that scene caught me totally by surprise, because it's like the first moment in the movie where it's like really bloody, scary movie. And I was like I didn't look away because I was so in shock. Even afterwards, I was like, what did I just see? Like, and I rewatched it, obviously doing this, and it was worse than I remember now. Like, Jeremy's obviously blacked it out. PTSD from the scene. Like,
PTSD.
It's a brutal scene, man. These poor farmers in the middle of nowhere just brutally murdered. Like, that's a tough scene.
Man. Yeah. I think it's got to be
effects are solid.
Probably to your point, I think it's at least 15 years old. I think
2006.
He did.
Movie.
Yeah. That sounds
2001.
6.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because he did Blade 2 in 02. That was 20 years ago.
Okay. Oh.
That's my number 3.
Potato.
Good one. No, it's all the same. Yeah.
What did we say about time earlier? No,
Go.
In number 2, it's actually The Shining again. Believe it or not, I have seen that film. It's when he's coming down the hallway in his little freaking trike. Yeah. And then those two little
twins,
creepy girls show up and they're like, come play with us, or whatever they say. Ooh, gosh, kids are freaky, man. Love my daughter, but man, they're freaky.
And you got a boy on the way. You're just gonna creep out around them all?
No, I'm just gonna do my best to not take them to haunted places. So
stay off your big wheel. Stop cruising around.
Just cruising. Just quit cruising creepy hallways on your big
slashing the tires on his own.
Creepy hotel in like Montague that I stayed at. It could be the.
We do have a creepy hotel here.
Oh, bring them back to the Grandview building.
That'd be nice. Speaking of Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, you can film your own movie there.
Dr. Sleep probably still at Grandview.
Yeah. The Overlook. The Overlook.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That is good. All right. Rye.
Number 2. All right. We got Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. All right. Especially with Jeremy. I don't need that. All right. I was probably we'd have to look it up what year Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
81.
Yeah. So I was watching it. I think I was like 6 or 7. I was watching it with my dad, and Jeremy, I think you've met my dad a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great judge of like. He came in a little bit too late, like covering eyes. You know, he was kind of like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't be watching this," and I was just like, "The damage has been done." Right.
Such an awesome scene.
I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. They open the ark and Nazi faces start melting, literally boiling off, melting.
That's so classic.
I was like, I kid you not. I think I was like 6 or 7. And I was watching this, and I was just kind of like, what is happening? And yeah, I don't remember. I to this day, I don't know if I've ever seen the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Come on.
I think it's got one of the coolest like ending after that. Like the way that they just like the final shot is of the Ark. It's like in a cargo box, and it's just being like wheeled off into hiding. And I think there's just something awesome and powerful about that final shot because it's like still out there, and I don't know, it's awesome. But yeah, I always love that scene, and I know what you mean. I mean, if you're too young, it's like you're like
Nazis.
You're like screw those Nazis. They're getting what they deserve, and that like screw that French asshole. Like,
yeah.
We're
I
both
would say
passing through time, Dr. Jones.
in the moment, for sure. If you look like the first time I ever saw that scene, super visceral, super squeamish, but that one has lost its luster over the years. I can
looks
watch
like a bunch of crayons in the microwave. Or
yeah. It's like watching a Robot Chicken episode. It's the same animation.
But I hear what you're saying though. When you're a kid, that was like my thing with the fly. Like, right, if you're exposed to it so young, it just like penetrates deep. Yeah, I get that.
I'm telling you, that's my last two are both like age related. Where I distinctly remember like I am way too young for this. Like I should not be watching this. Like straight up. Yeah.
That's how I felt the first time I saw Porky's. Different reason.
How mine were not. My final two are I watched as an adult, and they're not horror. Not typically horror, I guess. Number 2, a little known film by Nicholas Winding Refn that followed up the movie Drive. It also stars Ryan Gosling, 2013. Only God Forgives. Takes place in Bangkok, the seedy underbelly of Bangkok, Thailand. And there's a police inspector there who's just brutal in all ways to find. And he's like, I don't know if you call him a bad guy, but he's not the antagonist either, but he's like just trying to solve this kind of mystery. And he's incredibly brutal. Almost as brutal as my buddy Scott from the Marshal PD, one of our longtime listeners. There's that shout out I forgot last week, boys.
That one's free, Scott. That one's free.
If you're sitting in your squad car listening, you just spit out your coffee.
Oh my God.
This scene, the police inspector has this one gentleman that he wants answers from. So this isn't going to go well. So he's got metal chopsticks, and he decides first and foremost he's going to stab one into each forearm to tap him down. Okay, I can live with that. Then he goes and finds a knife and proceeds to, and the film doesn't cut away much, but he proceeds to cut the eyeballs themselves and work to blind the man. And then
getting worse.
And it's all like with subtitles. He's kind of talking to him because he's like, he's trying to be empathetic about it. And at the end, he talks some about like not listening. He's like, you're not a good listener. So he takes another chopstick. And it's like the slowest ear penetration into a brain as the guy is screaming that you will ever see. And it's all like true life. It's not horror. It's just a insanely brutal, terrible interrogation scene that goes incredibly wrong. And
sideways.
Hey, kudos to the
hard to get the information out of that.
He never gave up the information.
What were you asking me?
My brain doesn't work. It's weird. I can't get
that's my number 2. Only God Forgives, 2013.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Oh, all right.
That sounds terrible.
Sounds like
totally watched it.
Movies.
Totally saw it like some night where Michelle and the kids were like in Sioux Falls, and I think I had to stay here from CE or something. So it was on back in the first generation of Netflix streaming. I was like, it's free. I'll just see what it's about. God dang it. I don't know. I did finish the movie, but it's pretty nasty.
Good one. That sounds horrible. Yeah. My number 2 from 2010, Saw 3D. Saw makes an appearance on here.
Gosh.
The worst Saw movie. But also, I think for me, the hardest Saw death to watch.
In 3D.
Yeah, it's right. It's like it's in your living room.
You were there.
No, but and it's funny because this is probably one of the least gory Saw deaths as well. It's a gal hooked up to a chair, and there's 4 large spikes that are going to impale her in the throat, and they get closer to her every time she screams.
Oh,
not a big deal. And there's a gentleman.
Don't scream.
Yeah, right. So there's a catch, Jeremy. There's a gentleman that's supposed to be trying to save her. I forget their relationship. This movie's bad. I was not into the plot at all. But to get her out of the device, he needs a key. The key is in her stomach, attached to a fish hook with a string through her mouth.
Who hasn't seen that play out before?
Yeah, that old timeless tale.
I knew it was in there.
So he has to pull the key out, attach this fish hook through her throat, and if she screams,
oh my God,
it gets closer. So it's not that gross. He's pulling on this string, which is disgusting.
Is that gross?
No, Jesus Christ, Casey.
And I mean, she's spitting up blood as he's doing it, and he's realizing like, well, going slow is not working, right?
Oh man!
So he starts just yanking on this thing to try to get it out. And again,
it's not Saturday Night in Maddock.
Yeah, it's not that gory from a gory blood gut standpoint, but you can just feel like, I can't imagine like you put yourself in that lady's position, and he yanks the key out. There's chunks of meat attached to it, and I mean, she dies. Like, she can't quit screaming. And
hey, Jeremy,
she can't quit screaming. It's not that bad. They're just pulling a fish out.
When we're defining squeamish, that's it right there.
Yeah, so that's a pretty brutal scene. Just hard to watch. Good thing it's like the worst Saw movie you never have to see.
It's hard to listen to.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
And it was in 3D. I mean,
and
did you wear goggles during it?
Rewatching it sucked. So it holds up. It was as squeamish the second time. I almost didn't finish it. I almost had to shut the old YouTube off. So yeah, that's my number 2. Saw 3D, fish hook through the throat. Gross, super gross.
All right, Jeremy, let's cleanse the palate. Let's
No.
This is why we put you first.
Number one.
Do you ever see when Bambi's mom got shot? No, that's not it.
I've only seen it the one time because I refused to watch it.
Never watched it again. No, the original Exorcist, when the head's spinning and you hear and then the whole demon thing, that's like pretty squeamish for me. I don't know why like that like the supernatural type thing is like freakier to me than like like somebody peeling the skin off. It just is. I don't know.
Yeah, cut a cadaver creepy. Apart. I get it.
How about that last? What about what Casey just said? I mean, if you were to compare those two.
Yeah, but and it's
I'll send you
right?
the link, Jeremy.
Because I'm like, you talk about the odds of either of those things happening, and you're like, well, this just isn't going to happen.
Yeah, you're more likely to fail your PT boards at that point.
Possession's bad.
Maybe.
Yeah, demon possession is terrible. Pazuzu, he's bad demon.
Yep, having a fish hook down your throat, equally bad. Oh, don't scream. Don't scream.
It was so easy not to scream.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I'd way rather do hypodermic needles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one, Jeremy. I think The Exorcist holds up. It's a good movie.
It does. The whole vibe of it, like you said with Shining, it's like a vibe movie, right?
Oh,
beginning to the end.
100%. I could watch that movie every day and twice on Sunday.
Score. Yeah.
Exorcist holds up for sure.
I'm not trying to ever watch that ever again. Ever.
I'm good.
Ever.
I'm good.
Okay. Good movie, guys.
Ryan, number 1
movie shot.
Number 1, again, I think I was 11 or 12 ish. I remember watching 13 Ghosts. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching that noise. No way.
I can't give you. It's on HBO. I see it every once in a while.
The gal from American Pie, right?
Yeah, Shannon
Elizabeth.
Gosh, she was smoking, man.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. That was the only reason I watched it.
What? You don't think Nadia was smoking, Jeremy?
I didn't say that. I'm not watching that movie though.
Yeah, she's actually not that smoking in the movie.
That's not
in the movie. No,
just watch American Pie again.
She peaked with American Pie at 1.
I I don't remember a lot of the plot. I know Tony Shalhoub.
Terrible.
I know Monk is in
Yep.
it.
Monk's in it.
Monk? Now that's
I
a good
know-
series.
I know Matthew. Is it Matthew Berry? Who's Shaggy?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew
Matt
Lillard.
Lillard.
I know Matthew Lillard's in it. Again, I was way too young. I was like, oh yeah, I can watch this. This is fine. And I don't know why I didn't I think I did walk away at some point. So there's multiple scenes throughout that movie that I was just
Not
like,
one
I'm
specific
cool.
ghost that stands out.
Well, there was the two big bad. I don't remember what numbers they were. There was like one dude had like a railroad spike like through his head or something. Another guy had like a saw blade in his face or something. And Matthew Lillard is like deflecting the ghost and being a divergence for these other or a distraction for these other people. And he's hiding behind these panes of glass because in the movie there's these like hieroglyphics that the ghosts can't penetrate, and this whole house is the guy wanted these ghosts for some kind of supernatural thing. I don't know. Anyway, they get a hold of
It's a bad
Matthew
movie.
Lillard.
Yeah, it's
and
a
they
terrible
basically,
movie.
like, snap
That
him
sounds like
in
a
half.
Scooby-Doo plot.
Right? Yeah.
It was old
I've
man
never-
Wilkerson the whole time, Jeremy.
Chris
I knew
Kattan
it.
like
I
saves
knew
the,
it.
the ghost of Chris Kattan saves them all.
Right. I've never gone back and rewatched it. It comes up on HBO Max every once in a while. I'm flipping through and it's on there, and I'm just like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need it.
Just put American Pie back on and relax.
Yeah, right. So that's my
way better.
something about the, like Jeremy said, the paranormal. Normally paranormal, supernatural doesn't really get me, but I think at that age, something about it, I was just like, yeah, I can't do. I didn't sleep good for, I don't know, a month or something like that afterwards. Nothing
Spooky.
good. That's my number one. I don't know.
Okay.
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 Now to the real number one.
Now, I was a grown man for my number one, not a kid. And I'm a big Western fan too. Big Kurt Russell fan. So I'd heard about Bone Tomahawk, and I was very intrigued to watch it one night on I think it was HBO. Michelle was already sleeping, and I'm like, you know what? It looks like it just started. I'm gonna enjoy this thrill ride about cowboys and cannibalistic Indians. and
Tale as old as time.
I'm a big Kurt Russell's a stud, by the way. So he's the sheriff, and they're going to search for a woman who's been kidnapped by this cannibal tribe, and basically they get captured themselves. And there's a scene in which his deputy, I think deputy Nick, ironically,
that makes it creepier.
The kind of head native is kind of had enough of them, right? So he's gonna start doing away with them. So it's an incredibly graphic scene, and I'm not expecting this at all. I mean, the movie is great. It's actually a really, really well made movie, and great job setting up tension. But he proceeds to scalp him in a very graphic manner. Okay, takes the scalp and then shoves it in his mouth, and I think he even nails it in there. And okay, that's very bad. And then they hang him upside down and proceed to start chopping him in half, starting with his groin, till he's split fully in half lengthwise.
I could have started anywhere but the groin.
That is my number one. It is, yeah, like I just said, brutal for Only God Forgives. This is even more so, just incredibly graphic the way they film it. It's terrible, but terrible within a really good movie where Only God Forgives is just a shitty movie. And this is like actually a really well filmed, well made flick, and but pretty nasty, a lot of nastiness. So that's my number one. Bone Tomahawk 2015.
Yeah, not on my list. Maybe I'll have to YouTube it. At least that scene.
No, you have to watch the whole movie.
Well, to make my list, I mean,
caveat.
We do this again
to your point,
watch the whole movie.
I think it's now. I think if you YouTube it, you'll get the idea. But
But
to Jeremy's point,
how
though,
good the movie is.
the movie like sets the tone like through storytelling most of the time. Like they're building up this tribe because they're even like predating Apache. They're so, I guess, primitive,
Violent,
primitive, and just really nasty. But it's all being told through story, right? They're telling stories like you don't know what's real and what's not, right? Because it's kind of setting you up that way. Between the old gunslingers talking about when they've ran through them in the past and stuff. So, anyways, that's my number one, Bone Tomahawk.
Perfect. Sounds horrible. My number one from 2012. From the horror movie Sinister. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie. It's
no, haven't.
Worth a watch. Actually, it's a pretty good horror movie. It's about, I believe he's a writer. He's trying to, or a reporter. I can't remember which one.
Ethan Hawke, right?
Yep. He's trying to kind of make it big again. So they end up moving into this house, which was a scene of a brutal murder. A whole family gets murdered. So he moves into this house for inspiration to write a story on it. And he finds a projector in the attic. One of these old film.
Not a good idea.
So he starts watching the film, and the first film is like, this loving family. They're having the time of their life. It shows how loving the family are. And then it cuts to 4 members of the family tied up to a tree. And then one of the branches gets cut, hangs the 4 members of the family. And that's the family that dies in this house. Well, then he keeps finding new videos, and each video he has is filmed in this old film reel style where it shows this loving family, and then it shows them being brutally murdered. And it's like this buildup of who's killing all these people. And the last one, I think, is, I don't know if for me, it's the most visceral one. And I think it's because of the buildup, because the first like 2 or 3 movies kind of catch you off guard because you're like, what's going on? And then like the next 3, like you get sick to your stomach instantly when he puts the film on, because like it's gonna end horribly, right? So the last one is, and typically it starts with like, oh, here's this loving family, and then it'll do a cut scene to like the setup to them dying. Well, the last one, somebody filming this family from outside, and they're sitting down to watch a movie or whatever, and then he goes into the backyard, starts up the lawnmower, and starts mowing the lawn, and you're like, this is kind of weird. It's different than the other ones. Well, and he's picking up speed. All of a sudden, he runs over the whole family. The whole family's tied up in the lawn, and he runs them over with the lawnmower. And it just catches you off guard because you don't realize that there was like a cut from him filming the family to the family being tied up in the backyard and him mowing him. So the other ones don't necessarily catch you off guard, but this one's like a combo jump scare, pit to your stomach sickness. And it's a good movie. There's one more death after that, but I won't ruin that one for you. Spoiler alert. So
I'm not going to watch it.
I'm gonna miss that one again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The worst part is, it turns out all the murderers are the kids of the family are murdering their own families, and it's a demon that's convincing the kids to murder their families.
Damn demons.
And then Ethan Hawke's son ends up killing him at the end. So.
Sons of bitches.
Spoiler alert. Sorry, it's 2012. If you haven't seen it, that's your bad. So yeah, that's my number one. It's brutal. Every single home video in there, I'll give you that visual squeamish watch. So just YouTube Sinister Deaths and watch that.
I have a lot of movies I'm never gonna watch after this.
Yeah,
I've got a new list of movies I'm never gonna watch.
That's my number one. That's my list.
All right, that was successful, I'd say. Got the desired effects, I think, for most people. Casey, I think you kind of stole the show with Saw 3D.
Yeah, that was probably definitely.
You guys gotta watch Sinister. I don't sell that enough.
I've seen part of it. I can't include it all in there. I gotta watch it sometime.
Man, that was a brutal one for me.
At what point did Ethan Hawke decide he's just gonna like go full like kind of horror dude? Because he's got another one that apparently he's a serial murderer in, and it's coming out called like The Black Phone or something. And
is it a choice, or are you just like, hey, this is someone we can grab for a low budget film?
Maybe. I mean, he used to be kind of the
it might not be
act, but
yeah, it's been a bit.
I mean, horror is definitely a wheelhouse, right? I mean, you can launch out horror movie after horror movie, and people are going to watch them. So it is.
Yeah, I think Patrick Wilson kind of shifted over there too.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke makes a good. He's a good bad guy on Moon Knight. That's all I'll say.
Gotta watch.
Love Moon Knight.
Check it out.
I need to watch the next episode.
New one tonight, tomorrow.
Right tonight.
Well, I think that is a good cue for us. We are over time. Thank you, everybody, for listening today Like always, if you want to see our ugly mugs, watch us on YouTube, PT Shop Talk. If you got questions, comments, concerns, anything you think we should do better, guests, if you want your name dropped, email us at ptshoptalk@gmail.com. As always, I'm Casey Hansen.
I'm Nick Doling.
I'm Jeremy Van Kloppenberg.
And I'm the special guest, Ryan Landberg.
Oh, you're better than Nick and Jeremy. It took them 12 episodes to do that. So
that's not
nice. Down.
Till next time, everybody. See ya.